Hey everybody. Oh, it's Ron from Ron's Computer Videos. I am I am kind of upset today about some stuff that has been going on with just trying to get things shipped. I've had a couple of things that have happened recently that have really upset me, and it's sort of like the more people I talk to, the more upset that I get about it. But let's take just a brief second here and let's say hi to everyone that is in chat. I want to say hi to the very first comment of the day, x.x. LX. Okay, well, whenever you move away from Roman numerals, let me know, I guess. Toby Q is here, Dave's Vintage Apple Tech, Tom Barber is here, Garth Beagle is here, Biggie John is here. Biggie, it's good to see you. I know I don't typically see you on the stream, so I'm glad you showed up. Let's see who else. Kat is here. Kat, good to see you as well. Everything is Broken Garage. Good to see you. Jack 68K. The Louius Lou is here as well. The Toiletius Toilet. It's tough to say. Anyway, um, you know, I guess probably I should just get to it. I don't want to hold you guys any longer than I absolutely have to. First of all, kind of a bit of a disclaimer. I like the post office. I use the post office all the time for everything that I could possibly use them for. Um, I ship a lot of stuff. Uh, Priority mail. I ship a lot of stuff. Kind of whatever the next higher service than that, when it absolutely positively has to have like a quicker kind of turnaround on that. So yeah, I'm a big fan of the post office. I go there all the time, um, and again, really enjoy using the priority mail service. Use it all the time to mail things. So I understand that the post office, just like a lot of other things, uh, government agencies and things like that in the US, that there is a pressure from certain folks that they have to perform sort of the same way that maybe a privately held company should. I disagree with that. The S in post office, or USPS, it's service. It's not like profitability or some sort of other made up kind of thing. It really just kind of comes down to that. I just want it to work, and I want it to work well. And if it costs more to run it than it does that it brings in, that's fine. Again, it's a service. It's supposed to be cheap, that everybody can kind of access that thing. I know that there are differing opinions. Okay, that's fine. We can disagree about that. That's totally okay. But I think something we can all agree on is, if you pay for a service, you really like that service to be rendered sort of in a timely manner and to the letter of whatever you paid for, right? So um, I get it. There are competing brands out there, which is what has me so kind of upset about what's happened. Um, Previously, uh, USPS Ground Advantage service used to be called like first class package mail. It was basically, it was like a guaranteed sort of package delivery. You had like a window for it to get there. It wasn't maybe as fast as priority or some of these other options, but it was definitely uh, something that would get there in a week. About 5 business days, not including weekends. Obviously. So, but the service itself was a little bit cheaper because it did not include insurance. You had to pay for insurance if you wanted that. But if you were just sending something cheap across the country, and it was like, if it gets there, it gets there. If it doesn't get there, it doesn't get there. I'm not out a bunch of money. It's fine. It's okay. Um, it's it's okay. So you can do that if you want. But what they decided to do sometime last year is they changed that service over to what they call Ground Advantage. And what Ground Advantage gets you is 5-ish, more realistically 7-ish business day service, um, with insurance built in, $100 base insurance on on whatever you buy. So previously, where you'd ship a package, there's no insurance. There was no real, like, I think it had tracking, but I don't think that. Again, if it didn't make it, meh, that's just kind of what happens. So that's why I've always kind of elected to use priority mail. And I've got some notes here. I just wanted to take a look at those just to make sure that I'm staying on task here. Okay, so let's go ahead. Let's take a second. I'm going to tell you about my two situations, because what has happened to me is in, like, since March 1st, they've lost two packages that I shipped, and one time I didn't really elect to use Ground Advantage service. It was sort of like it was just picked for me, and then the other time it was just sort of like I didn't know. So it's, stuff happens. So the very first package that I sent through my employer, who has a corporate account with the post office, and it was sent out the first part of March, and I was sending it to another collector for classic Macintosh stuff. And what was in the box was a bunch of kind of expensive, SCSI devices. Like there was uh, like like a oh gosh, what the heck is it called? It's there's a couple companies that, like, there's the SCSI Graph, so it's like a SCSI video card basically for Macintoshes that didn't have video output. It's the competing brand, but it's tougher to find. And I literally bought one and just put it in a box and sent it so it could be analyzed. And that was in there. There was also some Logitech SCSI hand scanners, including kind of a rare color version for Macintosh. That didn't hang around very long. There was also like a Digitize, which is like a SCSI video capture device that I got from the estate of Roger Wagner at K-Fest last year. And I think a couple of other things that were just maybe of interest that could be scanned to maybe increase community knowledge and try to expand the capabilities of SCSI hard drive emulators. So I got it in the mail and sent the tracking information to my friend. And he was like, "Oh, that's great. That's great. I'll let you know when it arrives." I kind of forgot about it. I kind of forgot that anything was happening with it. So I went ahead and I waited, and a little time goes by, about a month, and I reached back out and I said, "Hey, did you ever get that package?" He was like, "Oh, no. No, I never did. What's the deal with that?" And I was like, "Hmm." So I started looking, and the tracking information drops off after a couple of days of it being in the mail. And what it showed is it went from my location to the St. Louis, Missouri distribution center. It went to Minneapolis. It went to St. Paul. Those are distribution centers for the post office. Came back to Minneapolis, went back to St. Louis. Went from St. Louis back to Minneapolis and went to St. Paul. It went back to Minneapolis. It went back to St. Louis and then disappeared. And I was like, this stinks. Like, what's going on? Like, somehow it's caught on a conveyor belt. I all I could do is hear that little sort of like the music from the beginning of Pee-wee's Big Adventure with all the little Rube Goldberg machines, and it kind of going on conveyor belts and falling off back to a lower level and going back on the truck. And I'm like, oh gosh, you know what? It's always something. So I reached out to the post office. And I went ahead and I put a claim in through the website. And I think it says on there that you can expect to hear something in like 3 to 4 business days or something like that. So really, you do this on a Tuesday, you're not going to really hear anything back to the following week. Okay. So if it's a big hurry, don't be in a big hurry, I guess. So the following week, I got a reply email, and it was basically, "Hey, we're looking into this for you. We'll let you know if we find anything out." And so I'm like, "Okay." So it's now taken, since my initial point of contact, it's taken roughly a week to get a response. And I went ahead and I waited one more week, and I didn't hear anything. There was no additional emails, anything like that. So I went ahead and I called the nationwide 800 number for the post office, and after kind of playing the game where you go through their labyrinth of different options on the phone, that like any big company has. I finally got down to basically a thing that said, if you've got like a lost package and you want to go ahead and make a claim, or you've already made a claim and you need an update on the claim, you could stay in the queue, take about 30, 40 minutes for somebody to get on the phone with you. Or if you leave us your information, we'll call you back. And I said, I'll give it a shot, because I've already been on the phone for like 40 minutes. Like calling, trying options. Nope, no good. Try a different option. And so I said, okay, that's great. So about 30 minutes later, I got a phone call from a really nice lady who was very apologetic, and was like, yes, I see that you've got a case in, and I just want to let you know that we're going to go ahead and we're going to push this up to like the second tier of people that'll actually be able to reach out to these distribution centers and talk to people on the ground. Because occasionally, if something can't be routed, they'll put it aside, and then they'll go through and they'll check those things out separately and reapply addresses or postage or whatever is needed, and then it'll go out again. And so finally it did. They were able to talk to somebody at the St. Louis warehouse. St. Louis was like, no, we don't have it. And then I got an email update about that, and then I got a phone call from someone, and they said, hey, this is name redacted at the St. Louis distribution center, and I've looked everywhere for your package and I cannot find it. It's not in any of the places that if it got bounced or somehow it was mismarked postage or something like that, that it would have ended up. I didn't see it anywhere here. But I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to call my buddy at the Minneapolis distribution center, and I'm going to see what they have to say, and they'll probably give you a call. I'm like, oh, well, I mean, thanks. That's some really nice personal service there. And so I thanked them, and I said, I really appreciate you taking time out of your busy day to help me out with this. But I mean, this is a lot of expensive old stuff. I really do appreciate you taking time. And so a couple days goes by. I get a phone call from someone at the Minneapolis distribution center. And they're like, yeah, St. Louis called, and they said that you were looking for a package, and I'm looking around here and I'll see what I can do to find it. And I was like, these are just like phone calls coming in from people's random cell phones. And I was like, hey, I said, I've gotten a couple calls. I said, and it's all from people's cell phones. I said, do they not have like phones there for you guys? And they're like, oh no, we're out in the warehouse. We don't have time to deal with any of that. And I'm like, okay, so thanks. But people are using their personal devices and things like that to kind of make this whole thing work. It's a real testament to people caring about their job and trying to do everything they can to help customers. Super impressed. I was impressed before. I'm more impressed now. Okay. So a couple of days goes by. I get a phone call from the postmaster at the rural sort of area where my friend lives. And he goes, hey, this is name redacted from the such and such post office. I'm calling to let you know I've got your package. It's going to be delivered today. And I was like, this is amazing. I said, thank you so much. I super appreciate like all the time and trouble that's gone on this. And he goes, oh, you have no idea. There was people in St. Paul that were calling me and dancing around trying to find this thing. And it just happened to be that it got missorted. It was in the wrong place. And so it was just sitting there, and it was never going to get to a truck unless somebody went and actually looked for it. And I said, that's so amazing. Thank you so much. And I found out the next day it was delivered. So this hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars of irreplaceable Macintosh SCSI equipment was found. It made it to its destination. I was so pleased, so happy. I went on social media and talked about it. And anybody that was mailing a package, I was like, I would be reluctant to use this different service, but this level of service rather at the post office, but I would certainly continue to use the post office. I ship like dozens of packages a month, priority mail, and knock on wood, have never had an issue. And so everything was fine. And I continued to use priority mail and other things like that. And that was just fine. Everything was fine. So time goes by. And that's when package 2 happens. So in April, I went to an event out east, and while I was there, I got a few items and things that like from their consignment auction, not really auction, consignment rather. Got a few items that I purchased from vendors on site. I got a cool T-shirt from a friend of mine that made some really nice T-shirts, and I packed it all in a box that was, maybe it was like 18 inches by like 8 inches by like 16 or something, like not a tiny little package. Tried to get as much as I could in there, and my friend was like, "Oh, don't worry about it. Don't worry. I'll get it in the mail for you." And I was very appreciative. It was super nice. It was going out of their way to help me out. Well, I guess the post office where they went suggested the Ground Advantage service, and you could save a couple bucks. So why not use it, right? Well, you don't use it for the same reason that it happened previously, that the package got lost. And so, after about, I think this would have happened in early April. And so, but I was more vigilant and I was watching it. I wasn't going to let it go a month like last time. So I kept watching it, watching and watching it. And about 2 weeks went by, and it was like, something's up. It doesn't take this long for things to go back and forth, because I've mailed them things and they've mailed me things. Never had an issue, uh, until now. So I went ahead and I reached out to the post office and I just said, "Hey, I'm wanting to figure out what I can do about this." And they were like, "Well, have you put a ticket in online?" And I said, "No, I have not." And they said, "Okay, well, that's the first step. Always make a claim, and then go ahead and turn around. And then if you don't hear anything on that claim, then give us a call." And I said, "Okay." So I went ahead and I made the claim out, or I went to go make the claim. For whatever reason, the website, this would have been like the 12th of April or something, like right in there. The website says you can't make a claim until the 14th. I said, "All right, sounds good. I'll wait. I haven't hit the threshold for it being able to arrive. That's okay. I'm not in a big hurry. I'm just trying to be proactive this time." Okay. So I wait for the 16th. I figure things got busy. I figure I'll get up to the deadline. I don't want to be, it's like, "Oh no, sorry, it's 11:59 p.m. on the 14th." So I just like, I'll give it a few extra days. What's the harm, right? So it's the 16th or somewhere thereabouts. And I go out to make a claim on the website. And the website says, "I'm sorry, you have to wait until the 14th." And I'm like, "Okay, well, this is broke. Something, I goosed something when I called them, or I have no idea what happened, but I'm going to call them back." So since I had this previous experience, I was able to call on that because I write down phone numbers. I write down, like as I go through the menuing system on people's phone systems, I write down the options that I pick, so that way that it's, if I go back again, things change. But if you need that information, you just write it on a piece of paper. Then you can reference it anytime you want. So I went ahead, gave him a call, talked to somebody, and they said, "Yeah, I'm on the list." Hold on one second, card. Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm on the list with the post office now. I got a picture up there at the post office too. But I went ahead and I called and I talked to a really nice young lady, and she said, "Yeah, that's something. But you're gonna have to wait until the 14th to put this request in." And I said, "Right, but it's the 16th." And she goes, "Yeah, but you have to wait until the 14th." And I was like, "Ma'am, what year? What year, April 14th?" And she goes, "Okay, point taken. Something is wrong here." And so she's like, "I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to see what I can do. And I will call you back." So a couple days goes by and I did not receive a call back. So I went ahead, I called back. I explained what had happened previously. I said I wasn't given a a claim number or a reference number or anything like that. I said, but I want to get the ball rolling because the website still seems to think that I'm waiting on a date that has already passed before I can start this process. Well, the gentleman I talked to when I called back was basically like, "Yeah, that's really strange. You shouldn't have. This is bugged somehow." And he goes, "Okay, so what I'm going to go ahead and do is," and I also explained that I had had another package that had been lost, kind of using the same service. And so he goes, "Well, let me see if I can put you through to the level 2 people, because this might be something bigger that we can't handle." And I said, "Well, that's what happened last time. They went ahead and they put me through to the level 2 people, and that's how I was able to actually get my package." And he's like, "Okay, great." So he goes ahead and he's like, "Well, what I want you to do right now is go out and we're going to get you cleared so you can start the website claim." And I said, "Okay." So I went out there, I was able to start the claim. It let me do it that time. Um, and he goes, "Okay, well, I see that you have a claim in the system, a reference number and everything like that. What I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to put this forward to like the tier 2 people. We'll see if they can help you out. And while you're at this, you should go out because the post office has like mail detectives. They have postal detectives whose job it is, I guess, to track down lost packages, which eventually, if they cannot figure out where they're supposed to go, get sent to a special sorting location. More on that in a minute." So a couple days goes by. I get a little bit of feedback from the post office. They're like, "Okay, like we're looking into your case. We're going to see what we can do. We're making every effort to find your package." I'm like, "This is great." I said, "Based on my experience last time, they should have this thing wrapped up in a day or two." Well, a day or two goes by, and what I got is a message from the post office that was basically just an apology that just said, "Your package is lost. We have no idea where it is. Please continue to." Yes, Biggie John, you are correct, sir. It is the dead letter office in Atlanta. Um, so this email was basically just sort of a form mail, and it was just like, "We're really apologetic. We lost your package. We don't know what to do. Please go out and check your claim page." So I go out and I check the claim page. Claim page says that they've already issued a check for like $100. And I am like, that's not really enough to cover what's in the box. Because what was in the box were two PowerBook 100 motherboards, two PowerBook 100 LCDs, a PowerBook 180C LCD that had just been recapped. It also had a set of those Tech Dungeon shelves. They were just the end caps, though, but it's still like $45 or something like that. Some other items that I had gotten at the show, and some unarchived Macintosh software that I had gotten off of the free pile uh, that I can't find anywhere else. Can't find it on eBay. Can't find it anywhere. Um, so this unarchived software is now gone too. And there was some other stuff in the box. There was a T-shirt that my friend gave me. I think there was like a mini poster. There was like some other stuff from the event that I really didn't want to lose. Thankfully, I thought ahead, and there was some stuff that I put in my just my travel bag, and that of course made it home. Thank you, TSA. And I was really hoping the rest of the stuff would make it too. But in any case, they cut a check for $100. I'm like, I immediately filed an appeal because I'm like, I'm not sure, but I promise this is not enough to cover the items in the box. That's barely enough to cover like one PowerBook 100 motherboard and screen combo. There's a lot of valuable things. Oh yeah, and also I had all of my signage, because like when I go to a show, I've got like a little pop-up sign that's got some information about me and where to find stuff online. And granted, it's not super expensive to have that stuff printed, but it's those little plastic stands. I mean, I think they're $15-$20 or something. It's like it's money I didn't want to throw away. But anyway, they went ahead and they filed that. And I went ahead and I immediately did the appeal. A couple days later, a check arrived in the mail, which is still sitting on top of my fridge. Don't intend to cash it. I called back. I talked to the people there, and they were like, "Well, this might just have to go to the dead letter office. But we've got men. We've got top men looking into this. Not trying to be sexist, just making an Indiana Jones and you know, Raiders of the Lost Ark joke. But anyway, so uh, they were like, "We're looking into it. We're going to see what we can do." I'm like, "Okay, sounds good." So a little bit more time goes by, and it's now been a month. It's been like a month and some change since it, you know, actually hit the or hit the post office. And I get a update from the people at the dead letter office, and they're like, "We're looking into it, but we don't really hold out any hope." so, so that's where I am today. I got another missing package that has been basically just like given up on by the post office in like a very short amount of time compared to my first experience with losing a package through um, a Ground Advantage service. So I so I don't have a lot of faith in that. So these these two experiences very different in terms of kind of how this has gone. But so what were the differences between these two different experiences? And what I would say, oh, I just realized I've got that dumb banner thing in the way. Hold on one second. I want to turn that off. Let me turn off the display name thing. You guys know who I am. Do a whole intro thing on that. So what's the difference between these two experiences? And I think the difference is this. The first time I sent the package, it went out through my employer, who has a corporate account with the post office. So I could only assume that when something goes awry, that those requests are treated with a different level of care than just you as an individual going to the post office mailing something. Because the second experience was my friend just going to the post office and just paying directly and shipping the box with nothing else behind that in terms of like, I guess, oomph or, like consequences if something doesn't get delivered. Because I mean, I guess a corporate rate and the insurance on packages or something, it might be at a higher rate. I don't really know. It's like, what's the minimum insurance that they offer to corporate clients on those packages? Is it $500? Is it $1,000? I guess if that's the case, you could probably invest $200 in employee, hours to have them look for a box to save you a couple of hundred that you wouldn't get otherwise. So I don't know. I just feel like just because it was a corporate client the first time, I mean, yeah, there's other like, contributing factors and all that. I get it. I get it. But for how fast the second time that they just jumped, like they broke their neck trying to get a check in the mail to me for the second time, just to clear the decks on the situation, wash their hands of it. I don't feel that I got the same level of service, the same level of care that I got that first time. Again, I don't have problems with the post office. Love the post office. Still use the post office. Since this has all happened, I probably shipped like another 50, 60 priority packages through the post office. So it's just that Ground Advantage service. I'm just not sure what the point of it is. So what are really the conclusions that I have about all this? Well, I kind of think about it like this. I have let me see if I can get it to actually come up. I need to add window capture. I had something set up that I wanted to show you guys. Yeah, I've got it set up. Do I have it minimized or something? No, I don't. But for whatever reason, I can't get it to show up. So strange. Let me drag the window around. Still can't get it. Weird. Well, I have this. I actually have this set up to where I had like a little bit of a slideshow that I wanted to show you guys. Let me see if I can get this to go. Hold on, give me a second. Okay, we're going to do a window capture. We're going to have a new window capture. It'll be photos. It's still not showing up. I got to figure out what's going on with um, OBS later today then. So, okay. So what we'll do is we'll just talk about the maths of this. Wait, hold on. Let me see. Can I get this to go? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why it doesn't show up. So weird. Um, but basically, if you were to pay for Ground Advantage Cubic, so let's have let's make like a theoretical package. Let's say that this package is 12 inches by 12 inches by 12 inches. So it's a nice cube. It's not something that's just going to get lost in the mail, I would sure think. That's 12 pounds. Okay. If you use a website like Pirate Ship to kind of calculate what the price would be on that, as of yesterday, when I was doing this research ahead of the stream today, a package that meets those sort of specifications, if you were going to ship it through Pirate Ship, would cost you $9.38. $9.38 for Ground Advantage for a 12-inch by 12-inch by 12-inch cube that weighs 12 pounds. Okay? Cost you $9.38. Now, if you were going to ship that same package with UPS Ground Saver, now that's going to get you the same amount of insurance. It's $100 insurance, same as Ground Advantage. But it's going to get you faster shipping. Like if I was to have shipped it yesterday, they claim it would be there by, the 5th of June. So there is no guaranteed delivery date on the Ground Advantage. It just says up to 5 days. But again, that doesn't include Saturdays or Sundays, depending. And so it's basically just business days. So you end up saving like $1.20 to ship it the other way. And again, it's got lower standard of service for the delivery. I mean, they're handling all the packages. So does this stuff just sit in a separate pile for a couple of days? You got to let them age. They got to be appropriately aged with Ground Advantage. Now ship them. Now ship them. Or, whatever the delay is. I certainly don't know. Okay. But you save $1.20. You save $1.20 to ship it this other way. Now, if you were going to ship 400 boxes, and I guess if you could save $1.20 a piece, and you're somebody that's like a vendor, like it's like, oh, I'm going to ship all these widgets in a a bigger padded envelope or something like that. We're going to ship all these widgets. Okay. Well, if your margin on the widgets covers a few losses along the way, and the losses don't, absorb the difference in the shipping costs, sure, why not? You're fine. But I would say that for regular consumers that are going, or like an eBay seller, maybe, that it's like, I've got this one item, I got this one thing I got to send. I am not sure that it is to your advantage to use the service. Just because if it's lost, you're kind of up the creek. You're issuing a refund, or if you're somebody like me, you're just out some irreplaceable items. Yeah, you might get $100 check, but again, if it doesn't cover your actual losses, I'm not sure that it's to your advantage to do that. If you were to compare the Ground Advantage to, let's just say, regular UPS ground service, that same package, UPS ground service, would arrive a day earlier. So let's say like the 4th, and ends up only costing you like $2.40 difference. So if it's got to be there quick and it's got to actually arrive, I would certainly pay $2.40 to make sure that it actually got there. Mostly because I have invested a lot of personal time in trying to track this stuff down. And it's not just me as a consumer that's frustrated. You've got people within the post office itself that are having to take time out of their busy day to address this on my behalf, for which I am extremely grateful. But it is still uh, just this thing that is just like is it really saving consumers money if they're having to issue a bunch of checks for lost packages? Because kind of in my uh, you know conversations, because when I started posting about this on Twitter, I did get some responses from people that said things like, I'm an eBay seller and I ship a lot of things, and previously I might have had three losses out of 100 using the previous first class package service with insurance. I might lose three out of 100. Well, since it's gone to Ground Advantage, I lose like 20 out of 100. I I'm not there to see the receipts. I can just take people at their word, but that seems very frustrating for people that do have to even do bulk shipments. Um, and just in conversations that I had with postal employees the first time around, when you ask people, I mean, granted, you can only say so much as an employee. You can't exactly speak poorly about the services you sell. But every time I spoke to someone and I mentioned Ground Advantage, there was always a pause. There was always a little in their voice, that it seems like this thing that is maybe supposed to somehow make the postal service more competitive. They're supposed to. It's a cheaper option to try to draw customers away from UPS and potentially DHL. I'm going to say FedEx is going to be nowhere near these prices. I can't afford to ship stuff FedEx, especially their air service. Forget it. But just using that pirate ship comparison, it's I mean, if you're going to ship 4 million packages, yeah, I mean, save $1 a package, absolutely, and then buy a boat that fits inside your other boat. But if you are going to just be somebody like me, that's like, I'm just going to ship a box, um, I'm not sure that that is to my advantage to use something like that. The margin is so thin on what the savings are compared to the time that I've had to invest in following up on actually trying to get it delivered. It just the math doesn't work. So that is my opinion on kind of how this has all gone for me. And what I wanted to do now is take a couple of minutes and talk to everybody about your opinions and about how you feel about it. I've seen things that were kind of going by while I was trying to get the story out. I know that Biggie John has had a couple of things here, and I want to make sure to kind of talk about those. But um, Biggie says, I ship a lot for my online business. Oddly, the only packages that I've ever had delayed for over a month were priority mail. Never had an issue, or never had to issue a customer a refund for a lost Ground Advantage package. And what I'd say is that's good. And I am sure that my experiences are not really typical. I I'm sure that the people that are talking about this are people that have just had problems. And I'm not saying that Ground Advantage service might not improve in the future, but to date, it's been really poor for me as somebody who does a lot of shipping with the post office using priority mail service. I This has been really bad. I think I have only shipped maybe in the last year 5 or 6 things through Ground Advantage just to try it, and I've lost two. I I I don't know. I've lost two of 6 or 2 of 8, maybe. That's not really great. Those aren't great numbers. But again, I'm probably not typical of this. But what I would say is this: my advice again would be to absolutely make sure that if you do ship with this, just like Biggie is saying right here, um, if you are going to ship, you do have options for additional insurance to cover the difference on things. Um, and you should take advantage of that. If you've got something that you're going to ship, um, make sure that you are insuring everything that's going to be in that box. Actually, here's a really good. Oh gosh, if I just had sunglasses and a Who song to play when this. You might say it's might not be to your ground advantage. Okay, I like that. But yeah, I don't know. That's just kind of me. Let me scroll back through here. See something there. Starlight says USPS is even more fun internationally, where any insurance, priority, and tracking ends when it leaves the US, even when paying extra. And that is true. That is true. Once it hits Canada Post, once it hits uh, anything else, once it goes on the boat, that's it. Like you're flying blind at that point. Occasionally, I have, and I might be imagining this, but I think at some point in the past that I've gotten additional tracking stuff through Canada Post. But it's more or less just like it made it to Canada, or it made it to, the general province where it was supposed to go. It wasn't really anything that was like a final sort of thing. So like it was like dropped at their doorstep or anything, or it was signed for or anything. But I don't think you can do that on international stuff anyway. So, but yeah. I think that dysfunction is part of the plan on many things that people want to see privatized. And so I certainly hope that this service plan to try to just like you might save consumers $1.20 on a package, depending on how far it's going. I hope that this does not undermine confidence in the service as a whole. And that was part of my concern about whether I should do the video or not, because I don't want to dissuade people, again, from using the post office. It's an amazing service that does all kinds of things. There's no way that you could afford to send a letter to your grandma coast to coast through FedEx. There's no way. FedEx is welcome to debate me on this. Come at me, FedEx. But I mean, it would cost $9 to like send a letter. That's kind of their thing. It's like, if you remember the early days of courier, like letter courier services and things like that, where it's a premium service. But if you eliminate all of the things that make things affordable for people, then yeah, you're up the creek. And I don't know who they're competing with on this. It looks on the outside like they're competing with UPS. They might be competing with DHL a little bit on this price. I wish I'd gotten DHL prices now, but I cannot imagine that they are much, much better than UPS. They are probably $1 or $2 more. I need to look into that. But let's see. Starlight says FedEx refuses to walk up to my door, so they just send packages back unless I wait outside all day between 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. or 7 a.m. and 9 p.m. Gosh, that is pretty crazy. I would wonder if FedEx has a drop-off location. There's a lot of people, and this is something that's been like pandemic kind of started, that there's like small businesses in a lot of towns now, especially in the Midwest, where you can basically go there to do like some of these places that are like, oh yeah, we take Amazon returns, or like Kohl's will do that, or there's mom and pop places they'll be like, oh yeah, we take Amazon returns, because they'll box it and they'll ship it back and things like that, and they verify things so that people can get timely refunds on that. It makes me wonder if your area might have a similar thing for like FedEx, like the FedEx store. I would say, hey, drop it off at the FedEx store and I'll go pick it up. At least then it wouldn't just be returned to the sender. That's pretty crazy. Kaylee says, Canada Post does generally track packages once they receive them, but the problem sometimes is getting that tracking number. In my opinion, Canada Post seems to be more reliable than the U.S. Post Office seems to be. I guess it just comes down to where you're sending it, and it also seems to be like how big your package is. If you, as part of all this, I've kind of gone through and learned a little bit more about how to ship things and kind of what the post office's rules are on a bunch of different stuff. One of those things is never mail a tube. That seems to be that seems to be a big thing that people get wrong. If you're going to mail somebody a poster, um, it almost seems like the best advice is to get a piece of cardboard and make a triangular outer box for it. So that way that when it's on a conveyor and they are laser light showing the packages to read those tracking data, your poster isn't sitting there rolling on the conveyor in a manner that requires manual sorting. And that seems to be a problem thing too, is that if you pack something in such a way that it requires manual sorting, you're hurting yourself in terms of like delivery speed. So always consider kind of the size of your package. Like you don't want to try to mail a matchbox to someone. Don't do that. Even if it's in a larger box, take your matchbox and throw it in the larger box so it actually will get there. It won't get caught or won't get lost in a bag somewhere. Um, just reading horror stories from people that have mailed things and gotten stuff that's arrived and it's been like opened by the post office or whatever, just to verify things. But um, it's something else. Big John says Walgreens accepts FedEx packages for customer pickup. That's good to know. I did not know that. We have a Walgreens here in town, so that's pretty good. I would sure hope that people in semi-urban areas would have access to all that. So that's good to know. Hopefully, people can take advantage of that. That's good information. I did want to touch base because Biggie was talking about the lost letter office in Atlanta, and I did want to say that I was told that kind of like part of how that operation works is when undeliverable mail ends up there at the dead letter office. What they'll do is they will have people visually inspect the package, look for addresses, look for anything that's identifiable. And so what they'll do is they'll turn around and they will, if they can't find anything on the outside of the package, there's no tracking, there's whatever that's marred, there's something that's happened that's messed up, whatever address and return information you put on it. What they will do is they will under like supervision and based on the laws of how our postal service works, they will open the package to try to verify the contents. And so something that was impressed on me by talking to postal employees is that it's always a good idea to, even if it is you sending, I'm sending some sewing supplies to my aunt in Sheboygan, uh, take a piece of paper and put to and from and the pertinent addresses on that inside the box, because what will happen is if there is nothing else to identify that package on the outside, when they open it, at least that piece of paper will be there, and that'll help that postal inspector, that postal detective, um, finally, even after years, route it to the appropriate person. Businesses put um, packing slips inside boxes all the time. Yeah, it's Aunt Joni in Sheboygan, Wisconsin. It's a beautiful place. But uh put like a packing slip inside. That might help too. I saw a couple of people further up the thing. I think Garth even said it was like put a air tag inside the package and see if it see when it arrives. So that's maybe an option too. You could be like, hey, I think it's sitting on a truck because it fell out of somebody's bag. It's on the back of a truck that's on this route in this area. Maybe that's one way to do it. I don't know. I don't know if that breaks any rules with the post office for package tracking. It might. So you might read up on it before you even try something like that. But let's see. Justin D. Morgan says, I get faster deliveries from a certain PCV manufacturer when I use standard global delivery rather than DHL. And that has been my experience too with that exact PCB manufacturer. And I think the prices between those two services are kind of negligible. I think it's maybe only $1 or 2 either way, depending on the size of your order and how big of a box. I guess you're gonna have to put that stuff in. But yeah, that's been my experience as well. So, all right, we are coming up on an hour here, and I certainly don't want to take any more time out of people's Saturdays than I already have. So, what I wanted to again do is maybe just do a tiny bit of a wrap up. Um, conclusions, more conclusions. The conclusionist conclusion. Conclusions are um, based on and adding the advice that people graciously put into chat. Oh, this is really great. All I'm saying is Mr. McFeely has never failed me. And Apricot Skies, you're probably right. I have never had anything mailed to the land of make believe that has not arrived. So Daniel Tiger says thank you. Um, so I just wanted to say, kind of in conclusion, again, based again on some of the good advice that we got here in the thread. Um, make sure that if you can elect for additional insurance, probably regardless of what level of service you elect to use, that that you make sure that you insure your package for what's ever inside. Sometimes miscommunications happen. Sometimes things occur. Again, when I shipped that first package, they just kind of just assumed that that would be fine, but they didn't know what was inside of it either. So it's on me to it's ultimately it's on me because I mean I can control what I do, but I also really hope that when you mail something it makes it. So I think it's you got to accept a tiny bit of blame, post office. So but make sure you use insurance. Make sure that you package your item appropriately based on what's inside. Also, we've had a couple of things recently in the community where people have had like items damaged and things like that. Always overpack things. If you buy stuff online through Facebook Marketplace, if you buy things on eBay, don't be afraid to throw that person a couple extra bucks and just say, hey, pack the hell out of this. Especially if it's an item that's prone to breakage. So don't be afraid to put a packing slip inside the box, so that way that if it does end up in the dead letter office, that people can go through and actually take a look and see where it's supposed to go. And above all else, never, I guess, ship anything that you're not willing to lose. I guess that is kind of just good advice anyway, because everything's a gamble. There's a certain amount of risk inherent with anything you do. So don't expose yourself to more risk than you're willing to take on. So that's really it. So came in pretty good. I think we're doing really good on time. So I want to thank everybody for taking time out of their busy Saturday afternoon and spending it with me. I know that you have lots of choices when it comes to entertainment options here on YouTube, which is why I always appreciate your patronage. So that's it for today. So thank you everybody for coming in, showing up. Yeah, if you would drop a like on the video. If you're not subscribed, please consider subscribing, ring the bell, all that trite stuff that people say at the end of videos. So that's really it. So thank you everybody. Have a wonderful afternoon. And as I always say when I'm trying to queue up the video here, Apple II forever.